There's a lot of misconceptions online about the role of the upper body in punching and striking that I thought I could clear up a little. This is mostly based on a combination of my own experience and also research. Everyone's always telling you to do your own research. Well, I did, and I found some interesting stuff that might help you improve your punching, your striking, and just get a better idea of the reality of the role the upper body plays in striking speed and power and all that stuff. So anyway, the chest and the pushing muscles of your body, so your chest and your triceps, your upper body, they are important for striking and for punching. Big shocker, right? A movement that ends in your upper body and primarily involves your upper body uses your upper body muscles. I know, crazy, right? But there's a lot of misconceptions about striking, training, strength training for striking and punching going around online. Most of them are not really misinformation, but sort of incomplete information. So I'll be going over a few myths, misconceptions that people have about the role that your chest plays in training, and I'll be going over what some of the research says and what my own experience is with this. Well, one thing I want to clear up real quick is that upper body strength is not the be-all end-all for punching power. All the research shows that lower body strength correlates to punching power just as much as upper body strength, so they're both important. As we all know, punching and upper body strikes really start from the ground. They start from your lower body, twisting your hips and using your legs to begin the power from that punch. So obviously the lower body is important, but what a lot of people neglect is that the kinetic chain might start from the ground, but it ends in your upper body. If we look at what your chest actually does, what your chest muscles do, one of their main roles and one of the movements they generate the most power in is adducting your arms. So that is bringing your arms in towards the center of your body, which is what they do when you are pressing, if you're bench pressing or doing push-ups or something like that. What they're really doing is they're bringing your upper arm in towards your body. They're adducting your upper arm. If we look at a punch, what is a punch really? Like, what kind of movement is it? There's a pulling, one side of your body pulls, so that's going to be your back muscles, but the other pushes forward. So your hips are rotating as well, and your core. So it's like a hybrid movement. My chest is working to move that arm across the center of my body. Your chest muscles and the serratus anterior are also important for the deceleration phase of the punch and pulling the punch back, which is another thing that's really important. Some common myths are that chest training doesn't matter for strikers. You'll get people who are a little more nuanced and say, like, yeah, bench press strength matters for maybe grapplers because they'll be on the ground and maybe trying to push people around, but they'll say that that strength doesn't really carry over for strikers that much. But in my own experience and according to the research that I looked at, which I will be putting some of the studies that I looked at on screen and in the description so you guys can look at them and check them out for yourself. But what we've really seen according to research is that that is not the case at all. That upper body strength, specifically bench press strength, does correlate strongly to improved punching ability. Not just peak punching power, which we have seen, but in the consistency of punching power, which is also really important that not a lot of people talk about. But of course, it doesn't really matter how hard you can punch if you can only punch that hard some of the time. But doing bench press and chest training exercises can have a positive impact on the consistency of your punching force, but also punching speed as well. So some of these studies also found that punching speed was strongly correlated with better bench pressing numbers. The other myth is that the bench press is a functionless exercise, that it's not functional, which is also not true. As I said, the chest muscles play a big role in many movements, especially rotational movements with your upper body. They also stabilize your shoulders, which is very important, and the bench press is one of the best ways to build your chest. It's a time-tested gold standard for your upper body strength. Because a lot of people, for some reason online, I've seen a lot of people, and maybe it's just rage bait, but there's a lot of people that really dog on bench press for some reason, even though it's a great exercise and you can find countless elite level athletes that have bench pressing in their training, not just powerlifters, not just bodybuilders, but from all kinds of different disciplines, including boxing and martial arts. All kinds of elite level athletes train bench press to improve their performance. So it should be no secret that bench press is a useful exercise for improving your athleticism and improving your shoulder stability. If you train it right, if you progress well, it's super helpful for building real functional strength. And a lot of the common arguments are that, oh, well, you know, bench press, all it's really good for is making you better at bench pressing. But to counter that argument, I would say that what exercise isn't technical to some degree? You know, all exercises are a skill that you have to learn. All training is a skill. There's technique involved in all of it, not just bench press. Of course, bench press is a technical exercise like any other, but the same could be said about squats or deadlifts, which people don't lobby the same criticism against, even though you could say the exact same arguments against them. You know, all of it's good, all of it's useful, and as long as your training's balanced, sure, like if we said hypothetically, like, okay, you know, we've got one person who only does squats and only does deadlift and one person who only does bench press. Sure, the person doing the squats and deadlifts might benefit more from only doing those, but if you took the guys doing only squats and deadlifts and then made them do bench press as well, you'd see a lot of improvement and it would be very beneficial for them. But I think a lot of people in general, at least not serious athletes, are training like that. I don't think there's a single serious athlete in the world or any kind of strength and conditioning coach that would tell you like, oh, only do bench press or only do squats. You know, it's all about balance, guys, right? And the chest muscles, they're a huge muscle group in your body. They are very important for shoulder stability and for maintaining a good posture. There's that too. So not having that balance, having a weak chest is really going to have a negative impact. If you don't train chest adequately, it can have a really negative impact on your overall strength and your performance, stuff like that. So really what we should be looking at for training is including leg work, pushing and pulling movements. You know, you'll see like some of the guys that like tell you that chest training doesn't build punching power. They'll still do push-ups and stuff. They just don't attribute it to their punching power, but it does have an effect. And another important factor to consider is that bench pressing is shown to improve your forearm bone density. The forearm bone density component is also super important for punching or just any striking art in general, because you are blocking primarily with your forearms most of the time, or you should be. So bench pressing, boosting your forearm density is gonna significantly improve your defense as well, your blocking. Also, your chest muscles, if you hold your guard up, your chest muscles are doing a lot more work there than you think, keeping your guard in place. So you will also notice that if you train chest adequately along with the other things, that your defense should improve as well. You'll be able to block, have just sturdier blocks, even just like parrying, even just that little movement, your chest is working there as well. So it is a super important muscle group for strikers and for stand-up fighters, martial artists, all that kind of stuff. Even if you're like a traditional martial artist, just doing like kata, any kind of movement around here where you're bringing your arms in front of your body, as they do in all kinds of different martial arts forms, that's using your chest. So if you're skimping out on your chest training, it's going to affect your movement in your forms as well. Before I wrap things up, I'll share my experience with this. So like anyone, I've gotten a lot of information on training from social media, YouTube, stuff like that. And I believed a lot of the common misconceptions about punching power. People said, pull, don't push. That's true for generating your, because you want to whip the punches out. You don't want to push your punches. That advice is good advice. It's just not the complete picture when it comes to your upper body training and your strength training for your martial arts, for your punching. In my previous training, I thought, chest isn't important. I'm not going to train chest. I'm just going to do push-ups every now and then just for, balance sake. And like, yeah, my punches got better. My striking still improved. But after really looking at my training and being like, I'm really skimping out on upper body training. I'm only really going hard on pulling movements, reevaluating my training and just building a general foundation. Training these movements has significantly improved how my punches feel, how my punches perform. You really can't wimp out on these things. You really got to, really push yourself with every kind of movement that you do. The fundamentals, your squats, your deadlifts, your bench press, overhead press, pulling, whatever kind of pulling you're doing, rows, pull-ups, chin-ups, whatever. You really gotta push them and keep improving. Chest training, bench pressing is a big part of that. Pressing movements, especially bench press, correlate strongly with punching ability. Also building your chest up is useful for improving forearm density and defense for strikers. All kinds of strikers, not just boxers. So if you're doing MMA, karate, kickboxing, Muay Thai, whatever, it's still going to apply to you. The real key takeaway here is that if you are a puncher, you're a striker, you're a boxer, whatever, you do some kind of activity where you need to punch and you need to improve your punching. The key takeaway here is that the best way to do that is to have a general strength training program, and pushing movements like bench press and push-ups, something like that, they're just one component of the equation. And they're an important component, but they're not the only component. So all the people saying that you need to train pulling movements and leg training, they are right. They're correct to say that because you do need to do those as well. The key here is balance, right? So you need to balance your lower body training with upper body training, balance your pulling training with pushing training, balancing, just having a general balanced strength training program. Most athletic endeavors really require full body strength and coordination. Most athletic activities require the use of most of the muscles in your body. And so a general strength training routine where it's all balanced and you include all of the basic fundamental strength movements improves your performance more than just focusing on one or two movements. Train your chest, guys. Don't skip your chest training. It's important, and it can be pretty fun and rewarding too, just like any other kind of strength training. Have fun with it. Do your push-ups, do whatever bench press variation you want to do. Just do something. Train your chest. It's important. And if you do it, you will see improvements in your athletic abilities as long as it's balanced with other things, as I have seen. And most importantly, have fun with your training. Try hard and do your best, and have a good day. Goodbye. So